Hello everyone, welcome back for episode 2 of Yarns for the Soul with Nicole. I'm very excited to bring you my first guest. Today I'll be yarning with the lovely Paola. So I met her earlier this year when I moved down to Central Otago. There is a group of us that kind of found each other through a Facebook page of all places, and we now have a group. All of us are based kind of in the Cromwell area, and people will just post in the chat like, hey, do you want to have coffee, do you want to do this, let's go for a walk. And it's been amazing to have this lovely group of ladies around me to hang out with. And I also found out quite early on that Paola has 2 sausage dogs. They are called Sheldon and Penny, of course. So obviously we were going to be friends. I was determined that we were going to be friends. But she has had the most amazing journey. She's obviously still living it, but she's had lots of different lifetimes so far. And she is now based in Bannockburn, working for herself. Living her dream life, and so she's been such an inspiration for me while I've been trying to figure out everything, and her positive, infectious energy has just been amazing to be around. So I'm so excited for you all to meet her and get to know her a bit better today. Right, I'm here with Paola. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for getting me here. I'm so excited.
So many things that we can yarn about. But I guess we can just start at the start. Okay. About your background.
Okay.
How you ended up in New Zealand.
Oh my gosh.
In Bannockburn.
Oof. Okay.
In the middle of nowhere.
Okay. So how long do we have?
We can start from the start.
Okay.
So you've been in New Zealand for
I think
20 something?
Yeah, I think it's like 10 years, sort of. Like, I think I can't, yeah, I'll have to check my passports or do some maths, but I'm not really good with numbers, not my forte. No.
So it's been about 10 years.
Well, more than
10
years. Definitely 17 or 18.
Wow.
I don't know. I would have to ask my father because he clearly...
Oh, he remembers.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think he still hopes that one day I might come back, but... After 17 or 19 or I don't know how many winters they were here, I think this is home at the moment.
Yes. So what made you choose New Zealand?
Well, back then, when back in Stone Age, when I was a spring chicken, I was a language teacher,
yes.
And back home in Argentina, where I'm from, we have 3 months of holidays between December and March, sort of thing, like give it or take, because it's really hot.
Your summer holiday.
So it's summer holidays and it's too hot, and so back then I decided, well, I want to do some traveling experience, and I want to go to an English speaking country because I was an English teacher there, right?
Yeah, so you trained as like an English teacher.
Yeah, and
was that sort of straight out of high school?
Yeah, so after high school I went to university where I became a Spanish-English translator.
Wow.
And then I loved that, so I kept studying and I became a language teacher.
Nice.
So I can teach Spanish and English. So back in Argentina I was teaching English in primary school, in high schools, and in private language schools, and I had lots of private lessons too, and a couple of... I was helping some university professors in their papers too, right? So I was really...
Yeah, that's a lot.
I think it was really successful at a very young age. Like, I didn't realize back then, but I was like very busy.
Early to mid-20s?
Yeah, because I finished university when I was 24, I think. And by then I had already been working as a teacher since I was 19. I started working, and then of course, I got better and better and qualified eventually and all of that. Right?
Yes.
So by then I had so much work, and I was so happy and doing something that I really,
Yeah.
really loved. I
And
loved.
there's always going to be that type of work out there.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, oh well, now like it's like this 3 months period of work, and I always loved traveling, like very, very much. That was always my joy and my
Yeah.
focus and my
So had you
end
done
goal.
a bit of travel before you came to New Zealand first?
I had done some traveling inside of Argentina because
Yeah.
like I come from a family where obviously my parents took us on holidays every year. We were so fortunate and lucky, but back home my parents were really conservative, and until you're 18
Okay.
you're not allowed to.
No.
Back then, now it's a very different story, but back then
Yes.
it was like a bit strict, especially for me, and I was the eldest of two girls.
Yeah. So are you from a religious family?
No, they're not religious, but no, they're
Just
not.
conservative.
Just conservative, like so. In my parents' life, especially my father, mind, until you get married, you don't leave the house, sort of thing.
Okay.
So you can imagine.
So you coming here was just a bit crazy for,
Oh.
your father.
Back then, I was the black sheep of the family. Until with times I decided, no, I don't want to be the black sheep. I want to be the multicolour sheep.
Yes.
So I thought
I love that.
the black sheep has got a very bad connotation, and
Yeah, you're the rainbow sheep.
I was like, I'm a happy person.
Yes, exactly.
I don't think I do any particular evil or anything.
No.
So I'm like, why the black sheep when you're having so much fun and
Yeah, be the rainbow sheep.
enjoying life? So I decided to be the multicolour
Yes.
sheep of the family. So
Yeah.
when I was 18, because when you're 18 in Argentina is when you can, be independent, you can vote, you can, I don't know, I think back then I think it was like until you were 21, I think you couldn't leave the country. Oh, no, 20, I can't remember because it was a long time ago. But yeah, I couldn't wait to be 18, put it that way.
That freedom.
So then I started working and saving my own money.
Yes.
While I was studying at university, and another thing that my parents were like, oh my god, you don't need to work, and very conservative.
Okay.
I'm like, no,
But you had some plans.
I
You were
want
like,
to
I'm saving.
work because and I was always very independent, very, very independent. I wanted my own security. I think you want to create your own everything, your own well-being, your own.
Yeah.
So never take anything for granted, and know that you can always reach out for help if you need to. But
yeah, your family's always going to be there. But
but I always had a mission in my head. It was like, I want to travel, and I can't really expect. You can't expect, your parents or anyone to pay for your travels. Like,
you're like, I'm just going to make this happen myself.
no. And I think I went into that premise like, I don't want to owe anything to anybody. I felt like that. I don't know what made me think like that. I haven't really thought about it.
No.
Maybe I should do a hypnotherapy session about that. But anyways, that helped me because...
Yeah, because that's sort of where you started from and shaped a lot of the ways that you've approached everything else. So.
Yeah. So we'll go to uni in the mornings and then work in the afternoon and all the way along the evening. It's very different lifestyle in Argentina. I finished maybe teaching in the private language schools at 8 o'clock in the evening, and then I would go home and start studying for uni and prepping for the following day. But in a way I was loving what I was doing, and I had a mission. So when I finished university, because I wanted to finish it on time, my parents were paying for my private university, so it was even though they could afford it, it was a lot of money, and I was very aware of that. I was, in a way, I wanted to. It's like you want to make your parents proud.
Yes.
And I also
like give back to them.
Yeah, you don't want to be a burden, or like for me, I saw my father always showing up for work.
Yes. Yeah.
And
that's
working
what was demonstrated
for his family, and it was definitely not going to be me, the one who, took it easy and just
took it for granted.
No, and I thought I was very privileged to be in that position, to have parents who could afford for your university education, because what I wanted to study, I couldn't study it in a public university.
Oh, really?
No, I could only study in a private one. So I was very grateful.
Was public uni fully funded?
Yes, in Argentina it is. It is.
Interesting. And so private, like what sort of fees
Well,
were you looking at?
Expensive.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Crazy.
So I can't remember back then. It was expensive, and I was going to a very good university too.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to just a private one. I was going to one of the best ones. So for me, it was like, I value the effort my parents do, and I'll treasure that. Make the most out of it. I'll take advantage of that gift.
Yes.
So for me, it was always, it was almost like in my heart and in my mind, I can't afford to,
not use it.
Not use it.
Yeah.
And that kind of led me to create these beliefs like I can't afford not to take this opportunity on board, and the next one and the next one.
Yeah.
And so back then when I had those 3 months of gap, because I was a teacher back then.
Yeah. So you go and travel.
I decided to go traveling because I'm like, when else,
Yeah.
And I was, already finished university. I was, I think I was 20-something, 24. I think I was 24. I can't remember really. Oh, hang on. I finished university when I was 22. Oh, God, I need to go and check all the things. Oh, no.
Okay.
24 was when I finally moved here, I think.
Oh,
so,
right.
But it was sort of when I started traveling overseas. So I wanted to go to a place where I could speak English just because I loved it.
Yes. And so did you want to teach? Was that kind of the plan, or you just wanted to travel?
No, well, funnily enough, because all I've ever done by then was teach, right? English, which when I was a kid, I hated. Like, I hated English. No kidding.
Yeah.
Because my mum forced me, and my sister, got a younger sister, but especially me, because I'm 4 years older, to study English, right? So she would send us to this language school for English students, blah, blah.
Wow.
And I hated it because when you're a kid, you want to play. But my mom was like, no, you need to learn English. And my father too,
yeah.
And again, it was a privilege.
Important.
It was important. And because of my father's work, it was important that we learned English because we could move anywhere, anytime. So I hated it because I was a kid. Last thing you want to do.
You're being forced to do it.
Yeah. So I always told my mum, I hate these. And when I'm old enough, and I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I'm never, ever, ever going to study English. And then, of course, this is what I've ended up doing.
And now you're in an English-speaking country.
Exactly.
Everything is English.
And everything's English. And my job was always teaching. Because I never really got into translation until I was in New Zealand. So I came here. And back then, you had the work and holiday visas. Well, we still have them, I think. But back then, it was super easy.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do, and you're going to laugh, was work as a waitress or in a vineyard.
Okay.
When I was traveling here, right?
Did that seem really exotic or something at the time?
Not exotic, because I come from a province where we make wine.
Okay.
I'm from Mendoza, so it's a wine region. But I've never worked in a winery.
No, but you wanted to do that here.
I thought it was a great idea. I don't know,
It's not a bad idea.
No, and because I've always been teaching, I wanted to do something totally different. And I've never been a waitress, so I'm like, this could be so much fun.
So you worked as a waitress?
Just for, maybe all in all, maybe a month.
Was it fun?
It was challenging. It was fun, but it was challenging. But I had another mojo because when I came here, I was hitchhiking because I didn't drive.
Yes.
So I was hitchhiking all around New Zealand, which was unheard of.
That sounds terrifying. I mean, you just hear all the bad stories about hitchhiking. I've never tried.
Well, I never really have heard any bad stories about it. So in my mind,
maybe it's just my all the murder podcasts that I listen to and everything in America.
No. Maybe you're younger too, and back then we didn't hear all these bad stories.
No.
You have to think about back then. There were no cell phones. If I wanted to
That
write
makes
an
it even
email,
more scary.
I had to go to an internet cafe, which might be unheard for you.
Yeah, but if some weirdo picked you up, you didn't even have a cell phone.
Correct. And
You didn't meet any weirdos on the road?
Yeah, I did. Luckily, when I met a weirdo, I was traveling with one of my
good.
first friends here in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And we thought, he was nice, but he was a bit weird. So we were like, oh, we need to... But he was so happy traveling with us, but he had a car, he was driving, and none of us had a car.
No.
We're driving, so then we had to
Make
lose
the most
him.
of it.
But you know what New Zealand is like? Like, you find everyone everywhere. You keep bumping into people. I mean, you're a backpacker. Everybody's doing the same circuit.
Was he a backpacker? Well, like, was he travelling as well?
He was a backpacker, but he had his own
But he
car.
had a car.
We didn't.
So did you bump into him again?
Yeah, we did. But we avoided him. We just hid. We were in Milford Sound, I remember. We were like, oh my God. And we called him Mr. Bean because he was a bit awkward. You see? So,
did he have a Mr. Bean car?
no,
or he was just a bit strange.
A Mr. Bean face, I think, sort of thing, which was really bad, really bad. We were young. You need to think about that. So we're like, oh my God, that's Mr. Bean. And we were sunbathing while being chewed by sandflies in Milford. Yeah, so we kind of hid behind some bushes. It was so fun. Yeah, so that was gold. Like, an amazing experience.
Yes.
Really, really cool. And I think about it now.
Yeah, but still good memories.
My God, I wouldn't do it now probably because the more you grow, the more conscious you are about the risks.
Yes, exactly.
But you can imagine my poor parents back in Argentina. First, when I told my father that I was coming, like, I actually told him, Dad, I'm going to go to New Zealand with a working holiday visa, and I'm going to, come back in 3 months' time. Or 2, I can't remember. It was like around 2, 2 or 3. And he's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, Dad, I'm not asking for permission.
Yes,
I'm just telling you now. And this was like plenty of notice. Like this, I told him in March, and I was coming here in December.
So he had plenty of time to come to terms with this.
Yeah, exactly. So then he told me, I didn't sleep for 3 months, Paola. He was terrified because, and I understand, then I understood. As you get older and I don't know if wiser, but you're like, my poor parents.
When you're young, you don't see all the like possible risks or
no,
all the things that could go
and
wrong.
It was, even in Argentina, it was unheard that a girl would go and travel alone overseas to the other side of the world. As I said, there were no cell phones.
No.
Internet was, like on speed dial pretty much. I traveled with a Lonely Planet on a map.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Ticking off places on the map. Yes. And every time you would go to a destination. It's so cool.
Did you end up doing any vineyard work?
Yeah, another week.
Yeah? A week, okay. So it was short-lived.
Yeah, and it was so much fun. I mean, I was there with this friend that I've made, and we were useless. Like, we were absolutely useless. We were taking pictures. It was so lovely. The landscape in Blenheim.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And the supervisor was like, oh my God, you two girls, like.
Did you get fired?
We're like,
or did you leave?
No, we didn't get fired. We left because we wanted to keep traveling.
Okay, yes.
We realized, like, no, we want to keep exploring.
Yeah.
And, so that was... But I had the best memories, you see.
Yeah, exactly.
And I did a bit of waitressing. And when I started waitressing, I was in Queenstown, which was my final destination. That's what I wanted to get to.
That was always the plan?
Yeah.
To end up in Queenstown?
Yeah, because back then, I was being promoted like the capital of adventure tourism and, all of these things.
It hasn't changed too much, but...
No, and back then... And I grew up in a place very... Like in Patagonia, which is very similar to the Queenstown area. So, I got there and I only had a month left. And... I found out that we were so close to Fiji. And I'm like,
you needed to go.
I need to get to Fiji. Like, Fiji's really far away from Argentina.
So did you spend a whole month in Queenstown?
Yeah, so I spent a whole month in Queenstown, and I was working in a sandwich shop during the mornings. And then in the evenings, I was working up in the gondola,
Oh, cool.
Waitressing. So I saved enough money
To get to Fiji?
to get to Fiji.
Oh, good.
10 days before coming back home.
What was Fiji like?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because back then, imagine if there was not internet on a normal day here.
Still no internet.
It was fantastic. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in paradise. And I went to these islands and on a hop on, hop off.
Cool.
And the backpackers or whatever guest homes there, they had no walls, just mosquito nets. There was no power. So at night, there's just really not internet
camping.
either.
No.
It was so wild back then. So wild. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I was in Fiji and I did not want to go back to Argentina. I realized that.
Oh, no.
I just don't want to go back. But, I had no heart to tell my father
that you're not coming home.
I'm not coming home. Plus, I had already assigned, all these other classes assigned and the different schools.
Ah, of course.
I couldn't just quit. You see, they were all expecting me, and that would have been really bad. And
so you went home?
Yeah, so I was, okay, I need to go home, but I'm going to go home. I don't know how I'm going to tell this to my family. I'm going to save more money to buy another ticket to come back, because obviously I had spent my money on Fiji.
Yes, so at that stage had you decided that, New Zealand was going to be your place?
I don't know my place, but I wanted to come back and live here for a while.
Yeah.
So I went back to Argentina, and I decided to
So you worked some more.
Break the news. And the first trimester, it pretty much started, and I gave notice everywhere, which was pretty bad. But it was the right thing to do. And I told them, look, until you find a replacement, I won't go.
Yeah, perfect.
So I honor that. So, and also, I work with different ages, I had primary school kids, and I love them. Absolutely had a bond with all of my students, like I still do from back then.
Wow.
Yeah, this morning I realized that one of my students from back then, she's I think she was 8 when I was teaching them English, and she's a singer now. I found out today. And it's so good, I see her and I'm like, I feel so old and so proud.
You.
It's so amazing.
So how long were you back in Argentina for? Was it not that long?
No, not at all. Maybe 4 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How was your dad?
Shocked, heartbroken. My mom too. Yeah. But I was on a mission.
Yes.
I was like, it's safe. Because for them, it was a worry.
Yeah.
So the first 2 years of me here was really hard for them.
Yeah. Did they come and visit?
All these years, they've only been here once.
Wow.
Yeah, just once.
Yeah.
But I've always went back every year, except these last 2 years, thanks to pandemic very much.
Yeah. I guess it would be hard for them. There's only so much you can tell them to say that, it's all going well and it's safe and it's a great place to live.
Exactly.
But until they've been to visit, they don't actually know.
No, and you have to also put it in context, because back then it wasn't the norm.
No.
It wasn't.
And a young female as well.
Yeah. No one did that back then. And, in Argentina, and also, as I said, it's not that you could grab your phone and show them what you were doing.
Yeah, you can't just have a call every
No, I had to go to the phone booth and put my credit card there. God. Dial 6 million numbers, hope for it to connect. Or send an email if you wanted to attach the photos.
Oh my god!
You could only attach 2 or 3, otherwise it would take an hour. Oh my gosh! No, it was so funny. So
you came back for, was it 2 years initially with the visa, and then it got extended?
No, so I came back And because back then it was a working holiday still,
Oh.
because I had it open for 1 year,
Yes.
I decided, well, I need a sponsor so I can stay in the country.
Yes. Yeah.
So what am I going to do? And for that, you know...
You tried the vineyard. You've tried waste.
No, I knew I was not going to survive there.
No.
And I was pretty hopeless as a waitress anyway. So, and I went to Auckland, and in Auckland, all the different language schools hired me to teach
cool.
English.
Yes.
And I could not believe that. Like, I'm not an English native speaker. And so a couple hired me to teach Spanish, and then some of them to teach English for the international students.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it, but none of them could give me the 40 hours of work that I needed to be sponsored.
Of course.
So while my work and holiday visa lasted, I was doing that because I loved it. And in the meantime, I secured a sponsor with a hotel.
Perfect. So you have to be doing, was it 40 hours for them to sponsor you?
That's right.
Far out.
Yeah. I think it was 35 to 40 hours of contract for the same company.
Oh.
And no language school could
offer that.
Yeah. And I ended up doing the dining room service in a 5-star hotel. It was a natural thing to do, right?
Obviously.
Like, because I had so much experience in that.
Yes.
But my end goal was always to make it to Queenstown. So once I had the sponsor, lots of things happened in the middle, but friends that I had met while on my first trip sponsored me to work on the travel agency that they were starting for
in Queenstown.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And they were starting it for Spanish and Portuguese speakers, blah, blah. So I was working for them, and then they decided to open up to teaching. And then eventually, I needed a sponsor with more hours,
Yes.
more guaranteed hours in Queenstown. So the natural thing to do was to work in a, outdoors shop.
Naturally, yeah.
Just because I was so sporty and outdoorsy.
You could sell all of the rock climbing and
I was such an expert.
Yeah.
But, for me it was like, wow, this is so cool,
I love that approach though. Each thing you did, you were just like, this is cool.
This is so good. I don't know anything about these. What can I learn? But I was such a good seller.
Yes. Yeah.
And because I knew nothing, I was so aware of that I would be the one reading the manuals of the different garments and products.
Oh my God.
Remember, yeah.
So now you are an expert.
Not an expert, but I can sell you tents, hiking shoes,
good.
walking poles. Yeah, no kidding. Then it was just crazy.
So were you there for a while at the shop?
Yeah, at the shop I was, because they sponsored me for maybe 2 years or something.
Yeah.
And then another, a guy who worked at that shop opened up another shoe shop, very popular in New Zealand. And he hired me as the assistant manager just because it was the natural thing to do.
I love this. You're such an expert, so start managing other people.
So there I was, it was so crazy. I can't believe it. I didn't think about it. That's what I told you, do you have time? Because I'm giving you the very concise version of
I appreciate
stuff.
it. But it's just so many different and interesting steps.
Yeah. And I needed a sponsor. So it's like, okay, what's the next step? What's the better step? Then a boutique hotel where the rich and famous came and paid millions. Not millions, but
probably
lots of money per night to stay, whatever.
To stay in golf.
They were needing a receptionist. So, of course, that was the next logical step.
Yeah. Nothing compared to assistant manager at a fancy shoe shop.
Yeah. What do I know? But I can do this. So
they sponsored you.
Well, by then I had a a partner who sponsored me, and I finally managed to have an open work visa.
Perfect. Yeah.
So that's when I was able to go kind of back to, working maybe part-time, which is what I was doing in this hotel, and also teaching.
Cool.
Again, you see?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I was so busy, doing what I loved again.
Things. But at least, it's something you actually love doing.
Well, not the receptionist part, but that was
maybe not.
That was fun because I was meeting, famous people, and that was not that I knew anyone. Like normally the manager would go on set. It was like, we got so and so coming, and I'm like, okay, and they're like, they've got no idea. Yeah.
Is it just like be extra nice to them?
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah. Well. So that, I don't know. So it's like pretty much me, because this has been me. Because then later on the days, like I also work in a medical center. Like my one of my friends I love, Teresa, would say one of our many Queenstown careers, and it's true. You end up doing so many different stuff. So yeah. So like things like, hi, what's your name? And it was someone really famous, like. How
I guess they're probably not used to being asked.
No, but for me it would have been the natural thing to do. So the manager was always sitting me in front of the computer telling me, okay, this is so and so and this is what they do. And I'm like, famous singers. Paola. I like that. It was but I guess that's what I clicked, and that really helped me. Because later on this is giving away my age probably right now. When I became massage therapist, because that was also another logical thing to do. Just because when you're really successful teaching languages, you're like, what else can I do?
What's the next thing that I can add?
And I always was. I loved massages.
So where did you do your training?
In Queenstown. Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember I couldn't afford them because they were so expensive.
Oh, yes.
So I decided to do a course.
So you can do it yourself?
So, well, not to myself, but to other people that couldn't afford it, you see?
Of course.
Without knowing that was going to open so many
So massage was
new
the
doors.
first sort of step in that kind of health.
And the
healing journey.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I never, by then I was doing the Spanish and English lessons in Queenstown. And then I'm like, by then I was also working at the medical center.
Obviously.
I shifted.
Yes.
Where I spent 6 years and a half. So that's like the health encounter.
Okay, yes. And then you went on to massage is going to be...
Yeah, but I never stopped teaching in the meantime. See, like, 'cause that was my passion. Yes. In a way, that always brought me home.
Yes. Oh.
The one thing that I told my mom I would never do, be a teacher, and because my mom used to be a teacher, so I'm like, I'm never going to be a teacher. No. I'm never going to learn English.
But that's actually what you keep going back to the whole time.
All the time. And then I needed a change because as you grow up, you evolve. And I became a massage therapist.
So was that almost full time?
The massage? No, that was on top of the medical center.
Okay.
So I was working 4 days there.
Right.
And then I was doing some lessons, and then I was massaging. I was going bananas.
Doing everything. Yeah. Did you ever kind of do massage full time, or was it always a bit of different things?
No, because my father, wisely, told me, when I finished university, the first degree of the translator, I told my dad, I don't know what to do now. I feel so lost.
Yes.
And you finish and you're like, now what?
Yeah, like you've had this purpose for like 3-4 years or whatever.
I know, you got your diploma.
You're like, cool, now what am I doing?
Yeah, right. And it's like, and
now someone tell me what to do.
And my father was like, by then I was already, teaching. And my father is like, Paola, one thing, and my father's super successful. And he said, one thing I admire and envy is the management that you have of time. You are the owner of your working hours.
Yes.
He's like, I could never have that. And I was in shock.
Had he never been self-employed?
No.
Ah.
So coming from someone who has been so successful, I was like, wow, you know.
Yes. That's a big compliment.
It was. And
you're
coming from
straight
my
out
father,
of-
you know, my mum and my
Yes.
dad, I love them, but they were not the parents that were complimenting you all the
Yes.
time whatsoever.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
Guiding you, but not necessarily like patting you on the head and telling you
Yeah.
you're awesome.
No, gosh, no. That-
No.
Different type
Different
of
approach.
parenting altogether.
Yeah. So something like that from him was actually quite big.
It kind of it was huge in my
Yeah.
mind. It was huge because wow, you know, like, so that stuck with
Yeah.
me. And I, in a way, I always thought it's better to have, you know, the eggs in different baskets.
Yeah. And have that control over it.
So if, you know, this doesn't work, I still have these, and if not that. And I guess that's why I never really ever went back to working full time in one
Yes.
place.
Yeah.
And that's why I ever kept doing different things. Because, you know, as I was eventually, I stopped working at the medical center, and I was loving the massage part of my, you know, work
Yeah.
apart from the lessons, and that opened me so many doors, like so many doors, because I was doing, you know, mobile massages, I was working for
Of
myself,
course.
then I was
Yes.
working with sporting
With other, yeah.
teams, you know, and all of a sudden I got to massage the All Blacks, and I'm like, oh my
Okay. That
god,
sounds alright.
yeah, and what do I know about rugby, right? I mean, zero.
Did you become an expert on rugby?
Of course not. Like, no, it was so bad. So bad. Like, it was so bad to the point, like, back then I was working at the medical center, and the owner of the medical center, a doctor, I love her. She walks in, and I was at the reception. And, you know, the following day I was meant to go and work with the All Blacks. She's like, Paola. I'm like, yes. And it was in the waiting room, like everybody was sitting there. And she's like, who's the captain of the team?
To test you.
Yeah. Because I think everybody knew that I would have no clue. And I'm
Yeah.
like, pass. And she's like, Richie, Paola, Richie. Oh my God, get one of the nurses to show you.
Oh
Silly thing. I mean, pulled out of the reception.
To go and Google the All Blacks.
Yeah, which I kind of had, but not really paid much attention.
No. I mean, you know, it's not like you need to know.
Well, I was worried
your
about, you
work.
know, oh, it's going to be tough. You know, in my head, it's like, it's going to be hard work. You know, I got a full week and yada, yada, yada. And
Yeah, doesn't matter who they are.
so,
Necessarily.
yeah, so the nurse, you know, showed me.
Like, this is Richie.
And I'm like, this guy, this
guy.
Richie guy.
I know him.
So she's like, yeah, Paola. And, you know, it's so funny. Then I was there and you're like, oh my God. Of course, you know, I was very lucky to massage them. And I'm like, if I screw any of these things up, I'll be deported.
Probably would. The government finds out. You're Richie.
He's like, oh my God, I better, you know, like help these guys. And
Was it the whole team?
No, you're crazy. No,
Oh.
no, jeebus.
Was it just anyone that needed help?
Yeah, we will go as
like,
a group,
injuries?
and they will come along, and then you know
Wow.
then you will work, and not on all of them. No, it's
No.
like because a group of therapists.
Yes.
It was so much fun and great, but like that, many other teams, right? And it was great fun. It was always good fun. By then, I was doing my due diligence, right, like with the famous people at the hotel. And,
Yes.
but then I found that experience plus the hotel that led me to work for different agents who then dealt with, you know, the rich and famous coming on to Queenstown,
Yeah,
renting
of course.
all
Like
this.
big fancy houses and
Correct.
everything. Yeah.
And so I've been very lucky
Crazy.
to meet lots of amazing people. And yeah, it was an amazing journey, I have to say. And by then, obviously, I was very much into well-being and the physical part. And I realized that, not only my students would talk to me, not just about, whatever we were learning,
Yes.
but about the difficulties because, there were other travelers or immigrants because I had a bit of everything. Everybody was so transit in Queenstown back then.
Yes.
So that, or the people at the massage table, they either don't talk or they open up and start telling you the problems.
Sharing all these insights from all the different types of people as well.
Exactly. And different types of things going on. And
so you found that interesting, or do you find that like a little bit draining? Because you become a bit of a like therapist as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Like for me, I felt honored that people would share and confide because they would be.
Yeah, like they felt safe in that space.
Safe and know that would only stay there. And I guess it was the same, safety or, I don't know, safety about, that compromise that it's okay, like you can open up and you're in a safe space and you're heard and
but they may not have anywhere else.
Well,
you don't know.
You never know. So that got me to realize that there was more needed and so much more that I could potentially be doing.
So what was the next step? Did like that lead you in a different direction beyond massage?
Yeah, because back then also I went to, in the middle of everything else, I went to India and I lived there for some time and I did yoga teacher training course and meditation courses and Reiki courses.
That's where you did your Reiki.
That's when I did Reiki.
Yes.
And that's when I started, that's my first encounter with past life regressions as well. That opened up so much.
Yes. Was this all from like one kind of teacher or did you do different groups then?
And back then I was like very open to my intuition, like really trusting because I've always been looked after.
Yes. So you think your intuition is something that's always been there?
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
And you've always just trusted. You've just
always making it work, moving forward. And it was not always rosy.
No.
No, God, sorry.
But you always felt like you could trust you're going in the right direction.
Yeah. And trusted that I'm here to evolve, as we all are. But I started to see that more and more clearer, you see. And in India, we would need like another 2 days to talk about that trip. But, one thing was leading the other, when you...
Yes, once like one door opens and then you go through that one and then something else happens.
Exactly.
And you would never have gotten to that end destination if you didn't go through the first door.
Correct. Yeah. 100%. 100%. So by the time I came back, I was in a total different new mindset and openness, like even though like spiritually and related to their well-being a lot more.
Yes. And I guess you had your own tools, like you had a different way of dealing with it as well.
Exactly. So I added all of these things to everything as I was doing.
Yeah. So you added in like the Reiki and stuff.
The Reiki.
To the massage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the yoga and I was already back to teaching and that's when I came into hypnotherapy too.
Oh, right. Were you taught hypnotherapy in India or was that separate?
No, that was separate. Like I became a hypnotherapist with a school from the UK. So I studied rapid transformational therapy with Marisa Peer.
What does that mean?
So that is a standalone therapy where we use hypnosis as a means for therapy. So
and it could be like absolutely anything that you'd normally go to a therapist for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely anything. So we do it through hypnosis, like you being super relaxed.
So it's like one of the tools you use to get the results. Yeah.
Exactly. So I thought this is what I've been looking for to help people. When I was telling you, like, they come to me for the physical, then the emotional with Reiki, but I always felt there's more.
Yes. Yeah, you just keep going deeper.
So I decided this is me. And it was all in line with my journey to India, right? So it was all connected, very, very guided, I felt.
Yes. So how long was the hypnotherapy training? Did you have to go over to England?
No, I went to Sydney. Actually Melbourne, not Sydney, Melbourne.
Yeah.
So there were lots of modules that we had to do online and then start practicing. And you follow this protocol and you do whatever amount of hours practicing, you take a test, and then we were the school goes to different places to train live. So when I heard they were training in Melbourne, it was a lot cheaper than going to England. I'm like, yep, that's okay.
You can make that happen.
So that's when I went and trained, and it was fantastic. And then I added that, and that's become the most important part now.
Yes.
And that led to past life regressions, which I absolutely love because they help me so much. And you do that through hypnosis as well.
I feel like we could do a whole nother episode just on like
Anytime.
past lives.
It's not hard for me to talk, as you can see.
We might have to come back to some of that. So you still do your hypnotherapy now in terms of like the therapy side of it, but then there's also past life.
Yep.
So that's sort of two separate things.
Yeah, they're two separate things. So because some people are open to hypnosis, but they're not open to past life. Past life is more
it's
spiritual,
a little bit more like out there for some people.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. So
do you find it interesting, like the types of people that come to you for the past life? Stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like I've had the most skeptical guys sitting in front of me.
How did they end up? Did someone force them to go?
No, that's a good
or
question.
Like a partner or someone like. Oh,
but most
darling,
of the times it ends up sort of like that. It's like my partner thinks this might help, and I always tell them, look, you have to come because you want, not because your partner wants you to come.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to block it. It's not going to work. So even though there were the skeptical ones, obviously there, because I'm very honest. It's like, if you don't want it, then just don't come. It's a waste of your time, money, and effort.
Because I've never actually done it, but so that's with any type of hypnosis. You kind of have to be obviously willing,
exactly,
but in the right sort of headspace,
exactly,
to be able to be hypnotized. Is that
everybody can be hypnotized, but it's like if you go to a hypnotherapy session, it's because there's something that you want to work on. You want to either stop doing something or start doing something or get more insight on whatever it is that is happening to you.
Yeah. So is it often like changing habits on a like deeper level?
That's right. Correct. Okay. So it's going deeper into the subconscious mind and finding out exactly why is it that this behavior keeps happening, whether it's a habit that it's a bad one or because this is,
and then it's something you're not actually aware of, so you need to go into the subconscious to figure it all out.
And once we go in there and we find the root cause of whatever it is going on, you can understand it. Once you understand it, you can work on it.
Yes.
Then is when we stop whatever belief has been attached.
You back.
Exactly. Yeah. And we transform it during the session while you're in hypnosis. And that's when your mind is the most open.
So with the past life stuff, does that also is it the similar concept that it sits somewhere in your subconscious?
Yeah,
or is it like a different kind of place somewhere?
It is very, very similar. It goes back to the premise that we access the subconscious mind, but you're opening up to your soul wisdom, and your soul that is the one that keeps coming back.
Yes, so that's where all that information is sitting.
Exactly. So you access that, and the way we do it during the session is very similar to hypnosis. I mean, it's through hypnosis, but just a different format, but super relaxed. And you go to different past lives that have to do with whatever it is that you can't resolve at the moment. You see.
So people, like the type of people that present themselves to you for that, is it often something that's going on in their life or something that they're struggling with that they can't deal with?
That's right.
In any other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people come because they're curious. And that's fine. That was my first encounter. I'm like, I'm just curious. And I was so scared.
Yeah.
And most of the time, the first time, everybody's so scared.
Yeah.
And I was...
You actually have no idea. Or how many past lives have you had? Like,
well,
you
don't
just
know.
don't know.
And it's not that... And it's not that you go to all of them. You go to the meaningful ones, or the one that you're subconscious, things that you need to see to understand or to move on. So after I had my first past life done, which was just to explore, I realized, well, there's no point of being scared, right? Like, it's your life at the end of the day. The thing is that we don't remember it on a conscious level. It's pretty stupid. Like, you've already lived it, and you're not reliving it. You're just revising it.
So it's taking away any of that fear attached to it.
Absolutely. And once people come and get it done, you know, like explore it, it's like, that was amazing, and they want more. Because you realize that it's super safe and it's very effective and very healing. So, but as I said, it's not for everybody. So,
so now your practice today is kind of a combination of all of those different things. So you work for yourself.
Yeah,
out
absolutely.
Of your house.
I've always worked for myself.
Yes.
And
you kind of put together the massage and the Reiki and the...
That's right.
Yeah.
So at the moment, it's mainly the hypnotherapy and the past life regressions.
Is it your main focus at the moment?
Yeah, and I do massages as well, obviously, because the physical part is important, and I love it.
Yeah.
And lately I've added, obviously, did I tell you I love the Tibetan singing bowls? Which
is because we went to a session together.
That's right.
And listened to a lovely lady play the singing bowls for like an hour or so, and it was magical. And now you've gone and bought yourself.
Well, because I already had some, but now I bought more because I'm like, why not?
Exactly.
It's quite addictive, I have to say.
Yeah.
It's a good addiction.
So you can integrate that into your sessions?
Sometimes I integrate it, and sometimes I just do sessions with the singing bowls alone. Like,
cool.
Like a singing bowl massage, if you want to put it like that. So I place the singing bowls on different parts of your body, and they vibrate at different frequencies, and that raise your own frequency, because we all vibrate. We're all energy, right? Vibrating at a different frequency. So when your frequency is low, bring along the singing bowls.
I love it. It's just, I guess it's another tool, isn't it?
Exactly. It's another tool, and people love it. And I find that so many people don't know about it. For me, not always, but it's been part of my life for the past, I don't know, 15 years, last 15 years of my life. So for me, it's like, how come you've never heard of it?
And I guess explaining it in a way that people understand the benefits and the purpose of using it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and once I play the bowls on people's bodies and play them, they all come back like, wow, what was that? I had a client who rang and said, I don't know what you've done to my husband. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. He's so relaxed. I'm like, oh, that's really nice.
And that was the bowls?
Yeah, because he came and was like, I'm so stressed. I'm just so stressed. And, he told me a little bit about what was going on. I'm like, hey, have you ever tried a session of Tibetan singing bowl? And he obviously had no idea. And then when the wife called me, she's like, if you ever think of selling one of them, please. I'm like, no. It's like my baby. Yes. You can't really.
But you can go and buy your own.
Yeah. And it's so rewarding. I really love what I do. It's very rewarding, and I finally found my crazy balance, if you want to say.
Yes. And I guess, one last thing is doing all that sort of work during the day, being around other people and different energy levels as well.
Yeah.
How do you protect your own energy?
And then
have a social life. When I was working full time, my social life was basically non-existent.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the energy. But yours is kind of next level because you're working with energy all day as well.
And and I had to learn, and I learned the hard way too. Like it's another learning curve where you're working in a physical level and a spiritual level and an energetic level. And, it's like sometimes I was feeling exhausted or in pain or like drained. And sometimes you feel like at the moment I put my hands on people, I know exactly what kind of session is going to be, if I'm doing massage or Reiki, like if it's going to be easy.
Like it was going to be hard on you.
Yeah, and at the beginning it was like that, like, is this going to be hard on me or and I was allowing that to be hard on me until I learned, and I'm like, no, could be one of those sessions that's going to be a draining or uplifting because of the energy the other person presents.
Yes.
And I had to learn to not tap into the other person's energy. And, acknowledge their feelings, acknowledge what they're going through, but not take it on board, because I was doing that at the beginning.
Yes.
And,
yeah, it would be hard not to.
And it was pretty hard. And I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And you also want to use your social life, and then you're like a write-off. And it's like, no, this is not working.
Is there anything that you do, like anything that you could recommend to anyone else as well? Like any little like daily stuff? Like things that you do?
The things I do is like, because I also use some stones and crystals. So I use different crystals for myself, and I'm sure that I recharge them every night. I put them outside. For me, getting that energy from Earth and the moon or the sun is very important. And I carry those crystals with me depending on if I know the person who's coming, or I already tap into that energy.
So you choose a crystal depending on what you need for that day or that client.
Exactly. And, between clients, I always clear the space of my room. Like I open up the window. I've got lots of plants. Yes. I love plants, I love plants. Like my house is like a mini botanical garden. And I think I want more furniture so that I can put more plants on it. But plants are very cleansing, so I make sure I always have a plant. Sometimes I light candles. Right. And I do my own little prayer.
Yeah, just to clear the energy.
Energy, not to let whatever energy people release, stay there.
Yeah, of course. They don't take it all with them.
No, and I don't, and it doesn't stay in my room. So then the next person who comes has a very clear space. Yes. So it's making sure that, for me, tapping into water is very important. It's like almost a cleansing routine when you wash your hands, when you wash your arms, or sage is another thing that I love as a cleanser. Absolutely love it.
Is there anything in particular about it that you like?
It's their cleansing power. Like sage is quite powerful. It is very strong. Like it really cleanses the air. Yes. You sage your room or your house. And you feel it straight away. Yeah. The moment you're breathing it, it's going into your lungs, and you can feel how that cleansing happens. Yes. So for me, sage is always...
it's going to work.
It's always there. If you go home, you're going to... Or if you go to my room, you're going to see, that is what happens. And I think my clients tap into that and feel that too.
Yes. Exactly.
And sometimes I use hot stones on people's bodies, and it's the same. Like, like, I don't know, is this connection between the client, the stone, and my hand, and, and it's almost like you're drawn to which stone you're going to be using. And then you wash it, and you let it all out. Yeah. And you recharge that stone, and then it's ready for... the next client. For me, that is very important. Yeah, people think that after they leave, that's it, and there's so much more after the session. It's
there's like a process, cleansing for you, and then like the space for the next person that comes in as well.
Yeah, totally. It's not that you can reuse certain things, right? But it's important to be. on a clear mindset and on a clear space. And when I say clear, it's like energetically clear, mindfully clear, physically clear.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. All of that energy. Just.
And I want my clients to come and feel safe and comfortable and looked after, because when a client walks through my door, it's always because they need
your help with something.
Yeah, and I feel honored. So it's like having a guest home, you know. What do? You offer the best.
Look after them.
You offer the best you have, right? Like you give them the best tea, the best teacup, don't you? Like, well, at least I do, you know, like
pretty china or whatever. If you've got like really cute teacups or
it's like that. It's like you want people to feel welcome in your home and in your world. And when people come to me, I feel like honored. It's like, okay, my soul really welcomes yours, and this is the best I have, and I'm putting it out there for you.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much.
Yes, I love it too. I
I feel like, there's obviously so much more we can talk about. Maybe I'll have to get you back on for at least another one.
Okay.
Probably multiple. The past life stuff just fascinates me. So I feel like we could talk about
current lives.
Hours.
I love it. I love it. As long as someone to talk about.
Yes, plenty more yarns that we can have about that.
Anytime.
But thank you so much for sharing all about you. Well, not everything. There's so much more.
No, not everything. Imagine if I shared everything. But
all of your yarns, all of your stories.
No, you're very welcome. I think everybody's got, very different, interesting lives.
And everyone has a story.
Everybody's got a story. Yeah. And when I go through my own story, I'm like, oh my goodness. I can't teach you something.
All of the things that have brought you, like, to this point and everything that you're doing with your life now. And
it's like, wow. And it's like, I can't wait to see what else unfolds from these.
Yes.
Right? Because
I can't wait either. And I'm glad to be
keep going.
A part of it.
I'm very glad you're a part of it too.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Nicole. It's been a pleasure.